into Nigeria for we nipa na mampa. Onim word on the street and they say Nigeria for every nipa nam, Nigeria for num nipa moja, Igbo for we nipa nam, Igbo for num nipa moja, Omo so moko agege, Omo ko Nigeria kwan so, obi eba share na Nigeria for you see, Nigeria for years, Nigeria for years. Now personally, I don't know how it is affecting Nigerians in Ghana, and I say how Nigerians feel about this stigma say Omo nipa nam. Now let's dive into that. Se eba se enipa enre ne yonku enipa nama a kwesi broni friend cannibalism enye adea a eyehu of course ebia yes ehu but enye adea a obi enye bida throughout history yonku foko bia no mo enipa na whether say na eye tribal thing and I say eye family and I say cult. So, and an individual young phobia that society nima omono they have a taste for human meat. Obu ha ne kontimi do. There was a time bia a branch be able to add on certain social media ma say but no more or more websites are not umutimi e chat one kakra. It is said the and no yen social media hey. A branch any it me a place ad say or no when ye Panama oberry. Emma ubi answer a respond ye say or no so son or per se ye raining nam. In the emergency way me no Asia. Emma the opesa ye raining nam enum sleeping tablet no marco no maybe can one say the beya or better na a branch and etimi a raining nam. My original video no end to aneshe na wa for when ni eno so eti asema cause no can say ebia mabumi tuna make us asimwe.
My name, Armin Maivis. I was born 1961.
If you saw him in the street, he looks so ordinary.
I'm a computer engineer from Rothenburg, Germany.
But he's not. Armin Maivis is a cannibal.
I killed a man, slaughtered him, and ate him.
You see, Maivis's victim was a willing accomplice. He actually wanted to be eaten.
Flesh tastes like pork, but stronger, more substantial. It tasted really good.
A rare case of what they call love cannibalism.
Armin Maivis was born on the 1st of December 1961. He was raised by his single mother in a farmhouse after his father abandoned them when he was 8 years old. When he was 12 years old, Armin began to fantasize about eating his friends so that they would become a part of him and would be with him forever. In 1999, when his mother died, Armin, who was now 39 years old and no longer under the control of his mother, visited a cannibalism forum called the Cannibal Cafe, where users openly spoke about their fantasies of eating people or being eaten alive. There was even people advertising themselves on the website as meals for cannibals. Armin also posted advertisements on this website under the name Frankie. Armin only wanted a willing volunteer to fulfill his sick fantasy. Through an advertisement on this website, Armin met a man called Bernd Brandis, a 43-year-old engineer from Berlin. The advertisement put up by Bernd read, "I'm offering a chance to eat me alive." This was perfect for Armin, as both of their interests matched. In March 2001, after exchanging passionate messages online, Armin met Bernd at a train station and drove him to Armin's home.
We arrived home, and he went straight into the living room and undressed. So that I could admire dinner, or my dinner, he said.
After swallowing 20 sleeping pills, cough syrup and a bottle of snaps, Bernd was ready and the two men made their way upstairs into Armin's homemade slaughter room. The two had an agreement to film the horrifying events that followed. Bernd wanted Armin to bite off his penis, but after unsuccessful attempts, Armin removed it with a kitchen knife. Bernd wanted the two to eat his severed penis, but when Bernd attempted to eat the piece of his own penis raw, he said it was too chewy. Armin tried to fry the penis with garlic and pepper, but burnt it, meaning none of them could consume it, so Armin ground it up and fed it to his own dog. Armin ran Bernd a bath and checked in on him every 15 minutes whilst he read a Star Trek book. During this time, Bernd was slowly bleeding out into the bath, drifting in and out of consciousness. After much hesitation, Armin finally killed Bernd by stabbing him in the neck.
At that moment, I didn't know what to do. I asked myself whether I should pray to the devil or God, and I asked God for forgiveness. Then I took the knife, grasped it in my hand, and after hesitating some more, I cut his throat with it.
After Bernd was dead, Armin, back in the slaughter room, hung Bernd's body up from the ceiling and started to dismember him. Armin cut off Bernd's head, removed his organs, cut him in half, and washed the body so that he could store parts of him in the freezer. Armin lit candles and drank fine wine while eating parts of Bernd's. Over the course of 10 months, Armin consumed 20 kilos of Bernd's flesh.
For the next person, Bekan Wasem here, Isai Sagawa or Isai Sagawa. Or no, see a brand to be a wound who took you. No, the end it is crazy. Or no, the end it is crazy. Say, Obi Timmy who will be or say, oh, me dog. Oh, my come be a bear, mammy who ba. Me say, be a me penno, me don't know, come into me and a merry no. Literally. Oh no so ohu oba let's say oba no ho ye ne fit let's say opo oba na ofili say onya oba na obere literally like she will literally like he will eat her or chew her chop or whatever worrying literally. Have you
heard of the man who ate a woman and then became a celebrity for it? In 1981, a Japanese student, Issei Sagawa, studying in Paris, did the unthinkable. He invited a Dutch classmate, Renee Hartevelt, to his apartment to read poetry. But he had a secret. Issei Sagawa didn't want to study her. He wanted to consume her. That night, he shot her in the neck. Then calmly, he began eating parts of her body. He documented everything, took photographs, recorded notes. For 2 days, he kept her corpse. When he tried to dump the remains in a suitcase, he was caught. But here's the twist. He never went to prison. Declared mentally unfit in France, he was deported to Japan. There, authorities found him legally sane. But because the charges had been dropped in France, Japan had no case. He walked free, and even more disturbing, he profited from it. He wrote books, did interviews, even starred in documentaries, talking casually about the taste of human flesh. Issei Sagawa died in 2022, but to this day, people ask, how did a killer walk free and then get famous for it? Because sometimes the most horrifying monsters aren't hiding, they're waving.
For the means, I'm trying to give you different instances. And I'm so Emma Ubi. Every ubi and I see every ubi. The next person can want say Michael Rockefeller. Or no, the Rockefeller, a family member, you see an isolated tribe be on an island, aqua corinenam, or coconum, amumokunu, arenenam.
This is the most disturbing photo of all. This man is called Michael Rockefeller, and he is heir to the powerful Rockefeller family. After his boat sank near an island in 1961, Michael disappeared forever, this last photo being taken of him alive with the tribe that possibly ate him. The surprise came a few years later, when National Geographic made a new documentary about the Asmat tribe and found a man very similar to Michael, as if he had joined the tribe. To this day, nothing more is known about him. And you, what do you think happened to Michael Rockefeller?
Show also sankie kase enipa mi nipa na ma na omotai di so see yen e before and say oh yeah backwards yeah we nipa nam but apart from saying go for kase Nigeria for we nipa nam and e bia other tribes ne bi kase bia tribe we nipa nam tribe we say tribe we say no enka menye hu say nipa bibini et say yen sub-Saharan Africans no yen every nipanam. Yeah, really panam, Debbie. The memory, the isolated people, they look the isolated people, no, they don't really look like us, they look like black Indians, right? And the other people, so almost all really panam, yeah, abrofo, don't mutare pa. And a branch is so free a Japanese. So also Korean Panam, me sure say other nations no. Inipa bebre na so ari ni Panama manaye. But the entire makers a majority of more mutari ni Panama ya abrofo ne say some years back na abrofo esikafo no. So on Saturday we na esikafo aduane some years back na as some centuries ago na abrofo no eko Egypt no makwa kofa Egyptian mummies ne no maba be grinded. No, I think so more friend and manna or mama or something like that. Me the better screen is so. Me shadan kai edini ye because says I do me share yache. But me the better screen is I think say a manna, mama or mommy or something like that. Na omude a good job and in a for you know the from more cold drink or more cafe any or more sweet be no mudi. Na almost say omu esu say be bio margarine. So a bit bio margarine. Sadia may have a discussion on my live stream about it some years ago. Nana, one of our brothers or joined a car say because they wanted to get the essence of an African or a black person. And no more yes Sadia. And no omo edi mommy. Come on. I said when we are monkey to idea. A yana first one omo type. In the same and your topic so into yampase Nigeria for every inipanam and I say yampase Igbo for every nipanam. Meme dear, make I say Meme dear Madi Impo say Nigeria for be every nipanam and Nigeria for into me say Nigeria for every nipanam. Baby bit make I say Nigeria for be. Say your evidence and say Nigeria ni be aqua written yonku nipa enam. So what I say and no quite the own quite to crowd when we say Annie. Yachi Nigeria for be of suspicion of cannibalism. Say yes, suspect as uncle for it. Emi so marry ni Panama, so meku will be a reno. So home. Now me call and say Nigeria for call Uganda for ho. Papua New Guinea, Omodia, me, Omajo Mudin to be any moment. Uganda for ho. And I mean who this video be all say African countries are. O marry ni Panam na me ba be hwe ahwese ye my Ghana woman ansa na yen yetimi address the stigma na yen ye dey ato Nigeria for so say Nigeria for we ni Panam ebusia for yen share video we together.
This video, we're going to look at 5 deadly cannibals you've never heard about. Number 4 would shock you. The topic of cannibalism is not a new thing in this channel, as we have talked about so many people who have killed and ate their victims, some for ritual purposes, some due to mental illness. However, in this video, we're going to look at 5 shocking stories where the killers ate their victims. Number 5, Richard Jinfi, Ghana.
I thought the boy was his brother.
According to this video, no media be boss can make us be the first country na eba be Nigeria for their Ghana for it make us say yes ye can say Nigeria for we ni Panam ye can say Igbo for we ni Panam. According to the video, no the first person na odi ye Ghana
Until the next day, we heard he has killed him.
Richard Jinfi was a Ghanaian footballer and sports commentator in Aberdeen who was known to sometimes hang around football fields where young boys in the neighborhood would gather to play football. For a lot of the boys, Richard was a pro, inspecting and maybe helping them be better at their skills. But for Richard Jinfi, he was on the hunt for the next meat that would fit in his refrigerator.
For the first person here, Richard Jinfi Ofri Ghana. No, wakwa ko ri obi now. Na just say Ghana for yes, you really fan now.
In August of 2021, after one of the boys had gone missing from a football game,
for years where a footballer or a footballer ejano or hanging around baby enkra a bobo enkra mema a tie bobo na Richard Jinfi no kohono.
Richard became a prime suspect in the most shocking, twisted way you would ever imagine. Ironically, the missing boy by the name of Louis was said to be neighbors and family friends to Richard, which made it easy for him to be lured into
Abranti be na or sports commentator ana osa so football enthusiast no tie ko pack bisu ana emrantie eta bobo but the credit say no na boni na opo bi awia no akwa akọre no na yesi Abrantie wayira efrimu yede ehun kwadu ebo Richard Jinfi Abrantie bia no ne the same neighborhood omu ye neighbors. So ena Abrantie eyira ye Richard Jinfi ya so ene nebusuafo ne nkofo kohwehwe no ono aka nkofo mu kwa kohwehwe no ekọ abontin kohwehwe no but a police for you mu investigation mu say there be asem Richard Jinfi no ho mu too much
to the home of this bloodthirsty cannibal, because to him, Richard Jinfi was an uncle. And when the family of Louis began searching for him, Richard Jinfi was said to be among those people in the search party. He even at some point consoled the boy's father, urging him not to cry, that God would bring his son Louis back to him, not knowing all this while that the missing boy
Ebusian for Chester Richard Jinfi denti a waka police for ho ne ebusian ko hwe ni say on be so obi abehun so na area Abrantie no but na ne refi say football pitch na okojina ho ko fa Abrantie na enkofo ho other footballers ho me the video no ebetoa me video no sina we awanya daje no wahwe it say na Ghana for na say Ghana ni bi a represent yen ewo listen no say yentime entina baby emfa yen some point in Nigeria for so ngaso Nigeria for we ni Panam Nigeria for no nipa moja Igbo for we ni Panam Igbo for no nipa moja ewo this case ye ne omu ediri wo Ghana eba Igbo king or person be seen the kingdom e wo Ghana yes yempene no yentimi in fact cannibalism attack umu. But when it comes to armed robbery, when it comes to kidnapping, yen will be na yenkwa jiska ransom, and I say yenko daytime robbery, bank, mobile money, yen kidnapping will be yen do be taxi ni yenkuno ni yenton no dear yes. No part of my yard, or my yard, if you so mobile in Bograno, share the number of cases are yes in Nigeria for aye. Share the number of cases, and I should share the number of Ghanaians who masho munkwa ewo Nigeria for nsano. Inti say yeah, addressing issues here, me patron me direct, very very intentional about our method, about the way we handle issues. A beboy mo yeni sa here say any emotions in name from the intimate. Na yentimini omu endili diligently. Na yen pam omu free asasi because baby obi e pam omu. Obi is say crazy in Kenya, in one of these African countries, a pam Nigeria for because they are selling drugs to the kids. Waba obi kromonu auto in Nubone, a man in call for and crash or montono musu. Nigeria for the yes idea no. Intina ye pam Nigeria for. Baby and Nigeria for Becobia, or my imagine some best say one castle mutin or honor. Because o pesca ononkwa na ewiase o pesca ononkwa na ewiase na hochira ononkwa na ewiase o free a poor country in Africa ononkwa na hochira ononkwa na nani brisika ononkwa na nim how to look for money into oba no aba be say ni din wo ho oba no aba be dibo no ho no okọ ne krom and that is why it was a yetimi epamo mu free asase so on say Ghana for demonstration their course name anytime you be this kind of demonstration patro na online and the kind of enter comment section and jocho and semhunu and jocho and near my nimsi yentimi say e base ya e was yetimi ko in our numbers na se number ne yeke say ampanifo be hu say yes ye ni abre. Se tell my Ghana for kakre bia na de bia no mu nkwa na ye na de bia no mu nkwa na ye na de social media nko for comment section ase in a way ya me patcho ni ntwa yi kra ebusia for ahana me de manu besi because video me pese be tintin bebre. Now don't forget to like, comment and share this video and don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. See you next time.
Was locked up in one of the rooms in Richard Jimfe's apartment. For Richard, his involvement in the search party was to take off every suspicion away from him. However, what Richard failed to realize is that in a football pitch, there is more than just one player. Apparently, on the day Louis disappeared, he was just finishing from a football match with his friends. And while getting ready to go home, Richard Jimfe was said to have escorted him, saying that they were neighbors. And pretty much some of the boys in the field saw it. And one of the boys who happened to be Louis's friend was very certain he remembered Louis went home with Richard. And during the search for Louis, this said friend made it clear that he remembered seeing Richard Jimfe walking with Louis as Louis made his way home. When Richard was confronted, he claimed it was a lie and that he had not seen Louis. Eventually, when the heat became hotter, he admitted to have escorted Louis home, but claimed that Louis left his apartment immediately they got there. However, at this point, everyone became suspicious. And when they asked to search his apartment, Richard Jimfe refused at first. But forcefully so, a group of boys alongside Louis's family gained access into Richard's apartment, where they searched it, but did not find anything. However, it was said that Louis's mother felt something strong while she was in Richard's house as the search party searched around. She said she felt her son's presence and believed that somehow her son was still in that house and begged for the house to be searched again. This time around, Richard refused strongly, claiming that they had already searched his apartment and did not see anything. And that was when it dawned on one of the search party boys, who remembered that while searching Richard's home, there was one room that was locked and he did not search it because the key was not available. And that was when the search party agreed that they would have to go in to search that room. And in that instant, a second search was said to have been conducted, and the locked room was forced open when upon Louis's dismembered body was found laying on the ground in its pool of blood. And just in that moment, it was said Richard's refrigerator was also opened, where fresh human remains and human parts were said to have been equally discovered and preserved. It was at this point everyone realized that Richard Jimfe, the former footballer and football commentator, was a bloodthirsty cannibal. Richard was beaten before handed over to the police, and when the police got involved, Richard admitted to being a cannibal and claimed it was a spirit in him that kept telling him to kill and eat a human. He had claimed that that spirit had first told him to kill a dog, which they say he did. And after killing the dog, it was said he ate the dog raw, before eventually listening to the spirit telling him to advance his killing spree into humans, in which he did. Although many Ghanaians believe Richard was working for some high-powered politicians in distributing human parts for ritual purposes, Richard has admitted that he walked on his own accord and that no one sent him, and that rather he was listening to the voices in his head. Number 4. Afiwe Mapekula, South Africa. Into action. Immediately when the police arrived, they met Afiwe still feasting on his victim. He was asked to stop and surrender, but Afiwe refused. When Afiwe noticed that the police were there and they were pointing guns at him and he was being threatened, he attacked the police with a knife, lunging towards them. But little did he know that the police had come with a gun in what is supposed to be a knife fight. And as he rushed towards the police with a knife, he was met with several bullets fired into his bloodied body. Number 3. Mfana Mpela in Sibi, Swaziland, present-day Eswatini. In 2011, then Swaziland might have probably experienced its first reported case of cannibalism when a 40-year-old man named Mfana Mpela in Sibi invited his friend Biki Biki over for drinks and lunch at his place. Sibi's 70-year-old father, Philip, who also lived in the same compound as his son, said his son, Mfana Mpela in Sibi, was excited to host his friend. And when his friend Biki Biki arrived, they both hung out in Sibi's apartment. According to Sibi's father, Philip, soon after Biki Biki arrived, a quarrel ensued between the two grown men. It was said Sibi and his friend began arguing loudly as they were eating dinner, and everyone in the compound could hear them. But then they chose to stay out of it and not get involved, as they know these were just two friends quarreling, and over time they would settle. However, just in the height of their quarrel, in the middle of raising their voice, total silence struck. The silence was too sudden, almost as if the power had been cut out of somewhere, and the TV that they were watching just suddenly stopped. Philip, Sibi's father, was uncomfortable with the instant silence, as well as his wife, who hurried in to go and check on the two boys to see why did they suddenly go quiet. Had the fight resolved, or had something gone wrong? And when Philip went over to his son's apartment to see what was going on, he knocked, but no one could answer him. No one answered him. His son, Sibi, did not open the door. It was when he peeped through the window that he saw what his eyes could not process. Philip said he saw Biki Biki, his son's friend, laying dead in their kitchen in his pool of blood. And when he asked his son Sibi what had happened, he claimed Sibi admitted to just killing his friend because they were arguing and fighting. However, Sibi did not open the door for his father, as his father was still outside, seeing all of this from the window. In shock, Philip ran out to inform the neighbors that something bad had happened and that his son had just killed a man. Neighbors all showed up and they were all looking through the window, as Sibi refused to open the door for any one of them. Philip immediately also called the police, and in numbers, the police arrived in 5 different vans. At this point, there was no need to ask questions because the situation had only gone worse. Despite knowing everyone was peeping at him through the window and knowing that the police were around, it was said Sibi had gone on to cut out a chunk of flesh from his already deceased friend whom he had just killed, took the pound of flesh, fried it, and added it to the food he was already eating before the quarrel started. It was said Sibi comfortably took his plate of food that also contained fried meats from the body of the deceased, sat down on his table, and continued eating as though nothing had just happened. Still refusing to open the door, the police had to force their way in, where Sibi was arrested and charged for murder.
I will not push a 24-year-old superstar to go to Saudi. Every time a Ghanaian
and desecration of human remains. Number 2. Jeremiah Ode, Nigeria. On the 19th of August 2022, a man named Jeremiah Ode was said to have been arrested after he was reportedly caught eating the head of his auntie Priscilla in a pepper soup, months after he had killed her with a machete. This was said to have happened in a local government area in Benue State. And according to what was said, Jeremiah's aunt, a 65-year-old woman, of which it was said Jeremiah lived with, along with his relatives, had gone to a farm to farm as usual. How Priscilla farmed on that same day, little did she know that there was someone else watching him in the bushes. And out of nowhere, Jeremiah Ode showed up and attacked her from behind. According to Jeremiah during his confession, he said he and his aunt engaged in a fight, whereupon he overpowered her for killing her and preparing to use her body to make pepper soup. When Priscilla did not return home, but her husband and other neighbors became worried. They embarked on a search for her, went through her farm, and somewhere in the bushes, that was when they saw Jeremiah Ode making pepper soup with the human remains of his 65-year-old aunt named Priscilla. Ironically, when asked, Jeremiah could not give any reason why he did that. Rather, he said after using her head for pepper soup, he was going to go on to use the rest of the body to make other dishes. How sick. Number 1. Nino Mbata. We have done this story before on its own, and it's way more complex and complicated than this. However, Nino Mbata was said to be a native doctor and a cannibal who confessed to the South African police on the 21st of August 2021 that he was tired of eating human flesh. The then 32-year-old Mbata was said to have walked into the police station in Edscourt in KwaZulu-Natal province, where he confessed to the police that he needed help and that people were making him eat dead humans and that he was tired. It was said the police did not believe him because they thought this was unusual. Who walks up into a police station to make such gruesome confession? They didn't take him seriously, and it was almost as if Nino Mbata knew that they wouldn't take him seriously. And so, he brought proof. Nino was said to be with a bag when he came to the police station, and when the policemen made fun of him, unable to take him seriously, he opened the bag and showed them a human leg that was still fresh and also covered in a cloth that was bloodied. It was this evidence that convinced the police that Nino Mbata was not lying. Mbata was immediately detained and arrested while the police went to his house to conduct more searches. In his house, they found several smelling and decaying human parts with bones in buckets and suitcases, and this furthermore proved that Nino wasn't lying. Although Nino was the one who went to turn himself in, however, in the process of this investigation, he mentioned 4 accomplices who were all also arrested, investigated, and tried. Most of the body parts found in Nino Mbata's apartment could not be identified, but the fresh body he had presented as evidence was later said to be that of 25-year-old Zenele Alaswayo, who was said to have been missing for a while, only to be found buried under a rock with some body parts missing. It was later discovered that she was killed and some part of her body had been eaten and used for ritual purposes by 2 of the suspects Nino Mbata had confessed. Nino Mbata and his accomplices were tried, and after 1 year, were all sentenced to life in prison for murder. So guys, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and comment your thoughts. And if you haven't subscribed, please do well to subscribe to our channel. You could also turn on notification button so should there be any new video, you